Welcome to Sung's Garage. Now, this is more than just a place to work on cars. This is a place where I'm able to connect with people, talk story, and share them with the world. Today, I want to share with you a new project. This is a 1971, early 71, 171 Datsun 240z East African Safari Rally Homage. And I named this car Doc, named after the owner's father. Ever since Opa came into my life, I went in this rabbit hole and discovered this new side of Datsuns. And I didn't know that Datsuns were dominating in East Africa in 79 and 80. And so I have had this car in my mind every day. And all of a sudden, it's like a dream come true. I'm going to explain to you guys how I found the car, the whole story of it, the soul, why it's in my life, how it came. It's pretty fascinating. And I also want to introduce you to a legend for some reason that none of us in my generation or you guys know. Erick Aguilar from Erick's Racing Engines. Now, this guy is GOAT. All right, hope you enjoy. All right, be good.
All right, guys, I'm here with Erick Aguilar, true OG in the car community in Southern California, a doctor of 240Zs, the community like to call him, because when I met Erick, he shared a story that he used to go to junkyards and salvage old Zs because he used to break his heart that these cars were not running, and then just basically sell them off for whatever you put into it. And that spoke to my heart, and I felt like who isn't the right, this man is the perfect person, the perfect doctor to bring this car back to life. And so here we have a 71 240Z, early model, built in January of 71. It has the East African Safari livery on it that was from 1979 in East Africa. Datsun dominated in that rally. And I saw this car on Facebook Marketplace. Jose, the owner, just took a picture of it and posted him in a garage. And I saw this car in the background, and I wrote to him. I said, hey, what's up with that car? Is it for sale? And he said, yeah, for the right price, anything is. But we eventually got on the phone, and he told me the history of this car, that it was a race car, and it was in Mexico. And Erick thinks that it originally started in California, went to Mexico, became a race car, was going to get exported out. And then Jose and his father, they found this car before it left Mexico. They were living in Texas. They bought it and they started building it out to be this East African rally homage to hopefully maybe even race the Baja eventually. That was their dream. Didn't work out. Jose moved to LA to go to graduate school. The dad's back in Texas, and it just didn't really work out. So it's been sitting 2 years. I talked to Jose. I said, I'm a big fan of the original cars that raced in the East African. And so he told me the whole story and the spirit of it. There was so much soul. And I was like, whoa, I got to bring this car back to life. How do I do this? And then I was at Rogelio's Upholstery near the area where I was picking up upholstery for Opa, the seats. And Erick was hanging out there, and he happens to be old friends with Rogelio. We started talking about Z's, his history, and I was going, why is it that my generation and younger generations don't know who this man is? And I feel like, hey, there's a calling here. It's not just about me or this car. It's really about like, hey, let's put these OGs in the spotlight, where maybe because he has his nose to the ground, he hasn't been keeping up with the social media language. And I feel like there are tools that I can bring to like share, like the masterpieces that he's built, and then this knowledge that he's keeping that he wants to share. So we're using this, kind of as a meeting place to learn, build community, and then celebrate the L24, the original stock engine. And there was no other man that I felt like it was right for the job than Erick. And maybe Erick can kind of give a history of where he started from and how he got here,
Yeah, my name is Erick Aguilar, and I'm the owner of Erick's Racing here in Baldwin Park, California. And yeah, I started quite a little back, and I started racing a lot of motorcycles, and that's where kind of like my racing started from. And then I always, since I was in high school, the cars that were around were all DCs, and I used to love all DCs, and finally one day I was able to buy one, and it started from there. I just fell in love with these cars, and then through the time, we work on these cars. We used to street race them, we used to modify them, we used to do a lot of things, and then later through the years, then all the Honda scene started coming in, and we started working a lot of Hondas and modifying all the engines and started racing on Hondas. But now behind us was always these cars and DCs, and our hearts were on all these old cars because that's what we grew up on. And we keep doing all the racing on the Honda stuff and doing our thing, but always on the back we always had these cars, and I was trying just to keep them alive, and I used to buy as many as I could, try to fix them up and then resell them, because it broke my heart seeing all these cars going into the junkyard. And I knew these cars one day they were going to be very not valuable, but everybody desirable, that everybody wanted them. And I was kind of like trying to stop them from going to the junkyard, so I used to buy a bunch of them and just fix them up and then just resell them, just so people can keep them and appreciate them and not let them go to the junkyard. But yeah, that's where you should, like our hearts came from, all these cars.
How'd you first start wrenching, and how you first started working on cars?
Well, I started wrenching since I was used to road race motorcycles. So most of the technology that we actually use in all these cars came from the motorcycle racing. We the motorcycle technology is way higher than the old cars. So, we would race motorcycles, and then when we started racing later the cars, they're like, these engines were very similar to a motorcycle engine, very high technology and everything, but are a little behind of their time. And then so we started applying a lot of that technology into the race motors, and it worked out. We got to break a lot of records, and we got to win a lot of races, which was really cool.
But why did you fall in love with the JDM, the Japanese cars, the Datsuns, like all of this? Why not the Chevys and the Corvettes and the Mustangs?
To me, it's like I love a Chevy, I love a Camaro, I love a Mustang. But I like more into a compact car. For some weird ways, I felt I fit better on these cars. It's just these cars relate a lot better to what we are. So I don't know, some weird. I love all those cars, but my heart belongs to these cars. It's just we fit better in here. So that's why I always had these cars. I had these cars, that some of these here that you see, I have them for more than 25 years.
Yeah.
So
like your first C over there.
Yeah, like my first C over there. Yeah, that's been with me for over 25 years.
Wow. Why I find you so fascinating is that, when you talk to people about old Datsuns and Nissans, like usually they're like Asian people, right? And then that's who kind of taught me that language. And then I meet someone like you, and you realize that cars are not specific to any ethnicity. You love it, and you mastered it better than any Japanese person, as much as a Japanese person, right?
Yeah,
and
we love the car, and I mean we started very young and working on it. Actually, my first car was a Maverick, Ford Maverick.
Yeah,
that was my first car.
Nice.
From that, my second car was a Mercury Capri.
Nice.
I fixed that one really nice, but one day I saw a Z parked on a parking lot, and happened to knew the owner. And the owner looked at my car, my Capri, and he said, "Hey, I like your car." And I said, "Hey, I like your car too. You want to trade?" He said, "Oh, my car don't run." I said, "I don't care. You want this one? I'll trade you." And that's how I actually got into my first Z, which was one of the avocado green ones.
That wasn't that one?
No, it wasn't that one. That was another Z that came later. And then I started street racing that car a lot.
Wow.
We later we put nitrous oxide in it, and we put trick carburetors in it, and we keep going faster and faster until I put a BA motor in it, which was very popular back in the days. And I remember the first time we took it to the track, and track called Palmdale, and I did my first run, and then they gave me the time slip, and I think it ran like a 992 or something. And I come back to the, to the lanes, and somebody's in the front end going, no, 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 no. And I'm like, what happened? I didn't know back on those days that running a night it required to have a license and required to have a roll bar inside the car and a lot of safety equipment inside to run that number. But we went in there and ran that number, and everybody was so surprised. I had a big bunch of people around the car looking at what he had, and they even brought it to in front of the tower and say, "Oh, we want to see this car. We want to see." And they brought it to in front of the tower, and they opened it and he goes, "It's a 4-cylinder, but double." And it was pretty cool because I didn't know running a 9 back on those days was a big deal.
Yeah,
and we did it a long time. Yeah, we just did it.
That's
so
amazing.
it was cool. Those cars definitely being in my life and bring a lot of happiness in my life. Yeah,
that's awesome. So let's move over to Doc.
Okay.
Right? So we named it the Doc because the owner's father's a doctor, so we named it after him, and it fits you being a doctor of the Z. So what do you think the plan is? Well, what's the plan that we discussed? Like let's share it with the audience. Like,
the main thing is kind of bring it back to life. Kind of want to keep the patina on the car, but going through everything else like suspension and engine and drivetrain, everything, and make it as best as possible so the car can actually be driven everywhere else and not have a problem breaking down or anything, and enjoying the car again.
Yeah. I'm really excited about keeping the L24 stock engine in there because I never had a stock Z.
Right, and we're gonna take the motor off and take it all apart, go through it, and do some upgrades so it can be more reliable, make a little more power, and be more enjoyable. And of course, making a little more power. Not making anything crazy like an RB26 or RB25 will do, but it's just what the car is, just to have the feel what the car really was back on the days.
Yeah, just keep it original. Really learn the soul of the drive, the way Mr. Gatdula designed it. Yeah.
So I want to feel what it was driving one of these cars, 30 years ago, 25 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, do you think there's going to be elements that are going to make it different from a stock car because we're going with this rally homage? Do you think the suspension will be a little different? Being a rally car, the suspension definitely is a little bit different because if you want to go off-roading, then you usually have a lot of suspension instead of like going road racing that you want to really short suspension going in. So it's a little bit of a trade, see what we're gonna do. So we'll probably kind of put it in the middle. It's just a car that we're gonna enjoy, not really go compete with it or try to race it, win any races, but we want to really enjoy the car. So we probably go in a medium of what the suspension really should be. Nice.
What did you guys do today?
Today we last week we had kind of plans of at one time, we had plans on putting kind of like a different motor on this car, but then we decided to just leave the car with the original engine, just to, he wanted to feel what the original, everything, the whole 240Z with the original engine, what it would feel like. So we decided to keep the original engine. So today we actually put it on the dyno and just the way it is and get a baseline from it and see where we were at and what kind of numbers this made, and then just so we can later, after we build the motor, we can see what kind of improvements we got to do on this motor. Today only made 96 horsepower and I think like 98 foot-pounds of torque, which it's great for, I don't know how long is this engine been in here for, so it's still great. These engines are great, they're die-hard, they always, they probably can be in somebody's, backyard for 15, 20 years, and believe it or not, you put gas in it and everything, and the engines start, they die hard, they never die. So we're gonna refreshen it, and we're probably gonna try to make the best we can so it can be, a nice motor, nice comfortable engine to drive around, a little more reliable and a little more power, so you can enjoy it.
Yeah. I think a final question for you, Eric, is how do you keep the excitement and the passion alive? Like, when I hang out with you, there's no difference from you and a young person who's discovered these cars. Like, you really love it. Like, I can tell, and that's why I'm drawn to you, and that's why I feel like you need to be shared, because it's so rare, and with everything going on in the world, all this nonsense, right? Like, how do you keep so positive? And how do you keep the passion going?
First, my job is, this is like my home, my real home. I come to my job and it's like every day I do something different. There's not a single day that I do the same thing. And it excites me because, I don't know what I'm gonna have tomorrow. Like, it happened to meet you and you bringing me this, and I get to do everything that all my knowledge that I have to share it with you and your car, and that keeps me, alive and happy, and it's just building, and every day, one day I can do welding, one day I can do machining, one day I can build a motor, another. It's just my job is endless, and it just keeps me alive. It's just I'm super happy being in here. I feel very blessed to have a job like what I have, because it just gives me a different thing to do every single day. And it also, at the same time, I get to meet people like you, great people, and all these guys now that come to me, didn't have a place before to go to, because most of the places where all these cars used to go a long time ago, they're all gone. So I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be here, and that's what keeps me alive every day.
That's awesome.
My last question is, what's your nickname and how'd you get it?
The nickname for the
This
car.
Your nickname.
Your nickname.
My nickname?
Yeah. The doctor.
The doctor.
Yeah.
Well, he actually gave me that nickname.
Oh, really?
He calls me the doctor because, he feels like I'm the guy that, still work on these cars that come here, So he actually gave me that name.
Yeah, when he told me the story at Rogelio's about going to junkyards and salvaging these cars because they broke your heart.
Yeah.
Right, and putting them back on the road. I was like, that's what a doctor does. And I was like, this car is like, it needs some help. Like, where do we go? We go to the doctor, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
Felt right, And now we got to dance.
Yeah.
All right, thanks for tuning in to Sung's Garage, guys. Just like Opa's journey, I'm going to share with you the journey of Doc as well. So make sure you subscribe to all our social media platforms. As always, let's all continue to stay indoors if possible and stay safe during these tough times. For all those medical first responders or essential people helping, I truly send my thanks to all of you. All right, y'all be good.